So, shortly, we're going to hear a sound that we haven't heard in some months. At the end of the meal, I will ring the gong, and that will signal that it's okay to talk. We're doing it for a short time today, just a few hours, and then we'll go back into silence. We'll do this gradually, but it's important to remember. I think everybody here has been through this experience before, so I just want to remind us that when we start talking again, it's the first time that we get to start seeing how subtle our energy actually has been. And so to really honor that subtlety that we've gone to, this depths that we've gone to, even though you still think your mind is racing, it's not like it was before. And talking can really be exhausting and can stir us up quicker than than our body and energy is ready to take. So be very gentle and very mindful as we start to talk. And we'll do this slowly over the next few days, okay, to come into it. But I thought we better say it now, because it's tempting. You want to start telling all the stories that we haven't told. So save some, and we'll do it slowly. Often at this point in the retreat, I'm a little bit in love with everybody, and then we start to talk. And it goes kind of quickly. I have to work harder at it. But I've really been relying a lot this retreat on this little manual of meditation. It's a very early book by Thich Nhat Hanh, The Miracle of Mindfulness. And his advice is, as soon as you sit down, go straight to your breath and develop a half smile. So this half smile practice is something I've been looking at for a while, and it's come together with several things that I've been noticing. I mean, for one thing, His Holiness the Dalai Lama also talks a lot about smiling. Have you ever noticed this when he goes to teachings? He says we are all the same. Each of us has the ability to express trust and pleasure in a genuine smile. He talks about one of his proofs, one of his reasons for proving that our basic nature is of compassion and love and goodness, is that we respond to a smile. We're open, we're receptive. So he talks about it a lot too. So when I've been thinking about looking at this face of this beautiful Vajrasattva, who has this sweet half smile, I'm thinking this is the deity, this is the being who's been hearing our confession hour after hour after hour after hour, year after year after year after year, sentient being after sentient being after sentient being after sentient being is still having this sweet smile. There's nothing in that face. It's like nothing like that. There's nothing in that face that shows judgment. There's nothing in that face that wants us to correct us. Although his whole purpose is to help us transform and purify our minds. His whole reason for appearing in that way. That face, that little half smile, is extremely receptive. And I don't know, I would say my relationship to Vajrasattva has changed radically over the years. From, in the early days of doing the practice, I'm quite sure, even though I knew better, somehow that light and nectar coming into my body was like, banish the bad. That was part of my training. But this time, really, this beautiful half smile has been a practice I want to adopt. Venerable Children also, when she's taught many times about doing deity practice, being aware as you arise as the deity, what does your face look like? What's the expression on your face? This is our model. Years ago, somebody gave me some tapes by Tony Robbins, who's like a life coach and, a go for excellence kind of guy, in the 80s. And he said then, if you smile, it changes your whole outlook on the world. And, I kind of believed that, but I looked it up after this smiling practice. It is true, with all the brain science that we have, smiling elevates your mood and creates a sense of well-being measurably. Every time you smile, dopamine, endorphins, and serotonin are released in your body. So smiling activates the release of neuropeptides that work towards fighting off stress. So neuropeptides are these little molecules that allow the neurons to communicate. So they facilitate the messaging when we're happy, angry, sad, or depressed. So these neurotransmitters of dopamine, endorphins, and serotonin are the ones that lift you up. They relax your body. So they lower your heart rate and your blood pressure. The endorphins act as natural pain relievers. And the serotonin is an antidepressant mood lifter. And this occurs whether you feel like smiling or not. It's not that it has to come from your heart. You can literally, they say, lift the corners of your mouth. And you get the physiological response to this smile. So there's a lot more to this smiling practice that science can now validate than I've ever considered before. The other thing that's really interesting and also validates my experience is that smiling is contagious. The part of your brain, this is a quote, the part of your brain that is responsible for your facial expression of smiling resides in the cingulate cortex, so they studied that. And what they did with this study in Sweden is they showed people different pictures of different emotions: joy, anger, fear, surprise. When the picture of someone was smiling was presented, they asked the subjects to then frown. They couldn't do it. They could not, in the face of a smiling image in the space in front of them, they could not maintain a frown. It took a conscious effort. So His Dalai Lama has said clearly, my practice when I see someone is to smile. And you think about all the images we have of His Holiness. My practice when I see someone is to smile. He even has said that smiling can be more valuable than meditating. That's a quote. So as Thich Nhat Hanh says, not here in this book, but he has said, sometimes your joy is the source of your smile. And that we know. When we have that feeling of open-heartedness and openness, and the smile arises naturally. But he says sometimes your smile can be the source of your joy. Sometimes we just lift the corners and wait for the endorphins to kick in and see how much mood elevating it brings. So in the context of our community life, as we begin to come out of silence, begin to come out of ourselves and start to integrate our relationship with each other, we can continue to practice mimicking Vajrasattva's beautiful, sweet face and that half smile. We don't have to talk much, but that can communicate a lot. And I know, I see photos, we all see photos of ourselves, and I especially have this habit since I was a teenager of when I don't understand something, I'm like, you all know that face. It's not so attractive or appealing or open. So I'm going to work on my smiling practice as a result of this retreat. And I invite you to join me. If His Holiness can say, my practice when I see someone is to smile, what kind of model? What better model for that? So it'll be nice to talk to you soon. It'll be nice to smile at you soon.